Going live, and we are live right now. And we are live with Chris Burris of C60 ESS60 and Patty Greer of C60evo.com ESS60, and I'm Alfred Laroy Weber, and we're here once again. The gang's all here, and we're with this. I would call it a very amazing kind of thesis, which I was saying, and that is that scientifically now, I'm not offering medical advice, but I'm offering professional advice because I'm a graduate psychotherapist. C60 Evo ESS60 increases mammals' lifespan by 90%. We have a peer-reviewed study that does that. And now we can say it's good for what they call smiling depression. And you can ask, well, what's smiling depression? And this is
what is smiling depression?
Yeah, this just came out now. It's something that people in the workforce in the United States, all over the world get. I got it over the past year and a half, working 24/7. And that is that here's what you might have. Number one, it takes serious effort for you to get up in the morning, do your hair and makeup, get yourself to work. You can play the role of the happy employee, but you feel a little bit empty and disconnected. You can power your way through your workday, but you struggle to maintain your focus. And when you get home, you neglect your personal responsibilities and fall into bed or sleep on the couch. And your self-care might even drop off. And I found over the last year and a half, I was doing like state-of-the-art work, but the work challenges were so enormous that I found that it was almost too much for me. And I fell into smiling depression. And the way that I got out of that, because I'm back in action now, was that I stepped back, and one day I just had an intuitive flash, and I contacted Patty again. And it was all intuition. And I started out, and for a week, I took 3 heaping teaspoons. I took 2 heaping teaspoons of ESS60 in the morning and 1 heaping teaspoon at night before bed. And after a week, I'm taking 2 heaping teaspoons in the morning. Now, let me just read something, and then I'll turn it over to you guys, because you guys run your company and you see this thing every day. Okay. As you know, I'm a graduate psychotherapist, MEd, University of Texas, 1997, as well as a lawyer, JD, Yale Law School, 1967. In my professional opinion, I believe I have made a preliminary working discovery that ESS60 can function in specific humans that have what we can call smiling depression. And we're going to put the link to what smiling depression is in the article here, as a powerful and beneficial mood stabilizer, and that's a professional term, and counterdepressant with none of the potential negative side effects of SSRI antidepressants, and can contribute to high-functioning euthymic positive mood and work output among individuals with smiling depression or a mood disorder. And what euthymic means, which is I am now, is that it's a Greek word, is that, hey man, you feels good, the world is good, I'm euthymic. Patty knows what that means. I can see that smile on her face. This is not, now I want to say this, and Chris is going to say this as soon as he comes on, because we got to look out for the FDA. This is not a clinical or medical diagnosis and does not constitute medical advice. Okay? Boom. Rather, it is professional observations, opinions of myself as a graduate psychotherapist who has documented extensively the mood and neural effects on my neural system of an initial unlawful attack against my neural system when I was meeting with an Assistant Secretary of Defense in his office in the inner ring of the Pentagon in October 1977. A number of independent psychiatrists and psychologists have examined these effects and stated that they constitute PTSD. And maybe that's why I was susceptible to smiling depression, but who knows, right? But everybody in this workforce, so many people now have smiling depression, especially in these conditions that we're in now, when you go in, maybe you don't go in, maybe you're working from home in a virtual environment, you're in Zoom meetings, you've got to go out shopping, you've got to go this, the children are that, are they in school, are they not in school? And suddenly, as they say, it takes serious effort for you to get up in the morning, do your hair and makeup, get yourself to work. On Zoom, you can play the role of the happy employee, asking coworkers about their weekend plans and accepting lunch invites, but you feel empty and disconnected. Well, what did I do? I got on what I think is a breakthrough. I think I found it at a proper dosage level for me. There might be dosage amplification levels, but I found that to get myself zipped up there and break through that, what I would call the smiling depression, some kind of a mood stabilizer, you start out with 2 heaping teaspoons in the morning, tablespoons in the morning, a tablespoon at night. After a week, you go to two tablespoons in the morning. And no matter what the environment of the world is right now, no matter what it is, I myself, I can say I'm euthymic. I'm back. The me that I know is back. Okay? All is right with the world, and I'm working away. And so over to you guys. What do you guys think?
Well, you left out one detail, which I find really important. You've been taking our product for the whole 18 months we've been in business together.
Yeah.
And about 2 months ago, you called me and you said, I hope this doesn't upset you, but I feel like I need to quit taking it for a little while. So I was like, you're my friend, if you need a break, if you need to quit, whatever. And when it does you well, fantastic. So I was like, no. So we stopped doing shows, but it was about a month. And then you all of a sudden said, hey, can we talk after a show? You and I did. And you said, I've had 3 brain farts. I want to get back on it.
Yeah.
And then you hit it with the tablespoons. So I think that's an important piece to your story, because you had quit.
Yeah, I had quit. So I didn't have that input of ESX60, of carbon 60. And I think that what happened to me is that the severity of the work challenges at this time, 2001, we all are experiencing work challenges. And maybe somebody's not, but I think we all can report that we're experiencing work challenges and life challenges at a level that, and even family relationship challenges, everything, at a level that, hey, they're sort of above the norm that we had experienced in our life. And so maybe my withdrawal for that month or 6 weeks, I fell down to a certain level. And I began to go into smiling depression. I wasn't myself. And so I came back, and then I have now, I discovered, and I'm saying I discovered because I put on my hat simultaneously. You know how you have the participant observer as a graduate psychotherapist looking at myself and saying, whoa, what's going on with me? And I think that whereas before I was doing it sort of roller coasting along, life is, and now I think that I've discovered a new level. If you are in smiling depression, and we'll put that link there, and we said what it is, we're talking about jumpstart it with 2 tablespoons in the morning, a tablespoon at night, and then after about a week, go into 2 tablespoons in the morning. And I said, this is not a clinical or medical diagnosis and does not constitute medical advice, but I've been dealing with these issues since October of 1977. And I dealt with them professionally in getting my degree as a psychotherapist. I've been dealing them with psychotherapeutic clients in my practicum, etc. So tell me, back over to you.
Well,
Chris, I'd like very much to hear your opinion because you're the scientist. Tell me.
well, 2 things that I want to hit first. The first one is an extra dose. Today has been a little bit of a challenging day, and I certainly want to avoid smiling depression, which we are not saying this does, because that is not what the FDA will allow us to say, and I'll talk about that in a second. That is good, and especially coming off of your testimonial, Alfred, it feels good. Next, let me give you the official FDA disclaimer. The FDA has not evaluated our product. It is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease. And that includes smiling depression. I think that there's probably been an immense amount of smiling depression, giving everybody being locked down. It's very easy or very hard, right, to just get on a Zoom meeting. I can tell you from a couple companies that I run, we're having team events, starting to have team events now, and we're getting 100% participation at our team events, right? Like some people maybe don't like to go to, company events. We're getting 100% participation. I think that's part of maybe this whole kind of smiling depression, and we're tired of being locked up, and we want to get out there and be social with people. In one case, it's going to be an axe throwing event, which is kind of cool. I'm just glad they have hinted at axe throwing at the CEO. I am not the CEO, so I'm glad that it's that I'm not the CEO of that particular team event. Tablespoon is a lot. I want to speak to that a little bit. And I think it was either today or yesterday. I noticed, and Patty and I noticed this on a regular basis, where somebody was like, "Hey, I'm getting 2 bottles every month. I would like you to make that 3 bottles every month." Right? Because they're upping their dose. And if you think about dose, and actually it's servings because it's not a medication, so it's not a dose. If you think about kind of your journey with us, Alfred, I think at the beginning you were taking as little as drops. Like you were taking 4 or 5 drops in a day and noticing a difference. And now you've kind of escalated and changed the game up to a tablespoon, which is really about 3 times the typical recommended serving. Right? Because a tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. So you're triple that recommended serving. I'm going to speak to tripling your recommended serving because I don't think we've shared this on your show. We've shared it on a couple of others. We've got an amazing testimonial from a 2-time U.S. national ultra running champion. So you think about, okay, is it good for me? Or maybe you're more athletic. Is it good for you? I think the people on this call are not that athletic. I do try and train regularly, but I'm certainly not an ultra marathon runner, right? This is the kind of guy who clocks 150 miles in a week. His testimonial, first off, I had a conversation with him and he shared, "Hey, Chris, I was taking the recommended serving, which is 1 teaspoon. I didn't really notice anything when I tripled that serving. So that's that tablespoon. I noticed, wow, And then he went on to send me a written discovery, a written testimonial, which is, Chris, I do not believe that this speeds up recovery from my exercise routines. I believe it prevents damage in the first place. And what I mean is, on the last 10 miles of a 50-mile run, by the way, that's a phrase you won't hear very often, on the last 10 miles of a 50-mile run where leg strength and stability were a problem in the past, when I'm taking the C60 Evo formula, it is no longer a problem. So yeah, I think dosage runs the gamut, and I think there's work to be done, and we're kind of doing that work even in this conversation. Is it somewhere between 3 drops and 3 tablespoons? I think that's a fair assessment. Where it is depends on where you're at.
Yeah, currently I'm taking 2 tablespoons, and so it feels good, but I don't know whether I should stay at that level or whether I should bring myself back to 1 tablespoon. I'm kind of just doing by intuition. I mean,
I would continue that.
What, do it by intuition? Is
Yep.
that what you're saying?
Yeah, 100%. If you're, again, and you are coming off of it, I had a similar experience in 2020. I was supposed to participate, and I did ultimately in our own sleep study, and I needed to go off the product for 10 days. And I knew I needed to do that like in the previous year. I also knew the first part of 2020, I had a really busy year, and I was like, there's no way I'm going off the product as I'm going to conferences, going to events, going to family events. Like, I'm flying around the country. This was right before COVID lockdown. And then when I did finally get those 10 days off, it was the first migraine that I had in a very long time. And so, yeah, coming off of it, you can have these bad experiences, and then getting back on it, you gotta listen to your body. Your body told you, hey, let's get back on it. And then it's also telling you like how much you should be consuming. And I think that's, that your intuition is a very powerful tool.
Yeah. Well, now I feel good about it, and I'm making some very good strides. I mean, things seem to be working in my life so well all of a sudden. I'm getting new projects off the ground in various different parts of my life, getting things together. Everything's coming together rather than falling apart. And that's such a good feeling, So I feel like and I felt this morning when I take those 2 tablespoons, it's like, okay, well, I'm fueling up for the day.
It is like filling the tank. You can feel the difference when you put the good stuff in. And what we're hearing is a lot of people having immediate reaction. Like, some people don't notice anything because they don't really feel their body or think about, what am I feeling now? How conscious am I of what I feel? But a lot of times when people take this, they're like, wait, what? So that's what's kind of fun about, especially the olive oil. The C60 Evo olive oil really gives you a boost. Chris was talking about his regime to do coconut oil in the morning, which has less than half the C60, no matter how long or how much you put in it, how long you mix it. You're never going to get as much C60 concentration as you will in the olive oil product or the avocado. But he uses it in the morning coffee because it tastes good, and it's that kind of mini boost. But it's a solid. And I kept hearing him talk about it, so finally I said, yeah, send me one. And now, of course, I do it every morning in my power coffee, but I treat my morning coffee like a meal. My mug is about this big. And
I was at Patty's recently, and it is a very large mug, and it was a lot of coffee. It was very delicious, and I was certainly wired after that cup of coffee.
Well, that's how I start my day. And so I don't want to eat anytime soon. But I have a rule that if I'm going to take my Evo, I'm going to eat some food, or at least an apple. I tend to eat an apple in the morning, or some cherries, because they're really good for fingers and toes. They say gout, but when I eat cherries, everything feels better with my joints. So that combined with C60 Evo, really good trick. I learned another good trick recently because our incredible selling facial serum it's I can't believe how many people are reordering it. But what we have is a monthly subscription. So if you sign up for a monthly subscription, you get 20% off. So it's pretty tempting. A lot of people just start by doing that. And if you don't love it, you just send us an email or call and you're canceled right away, no problem. So the facial serum, nobody's canceling. And, you know, I've been on the air with Alfred for a long time. People have seen my skin. I rode a Harley for 10 years, no helmet. I don't think I had a windshield. Did I have a windshield? I don't remember, but I rode hard about 50,000 miles and no sunscreen, just, you know, woo! Yeah, a lot of screaming. But it was pretty hard on my skin, and I started to wear it until I started using this product. And I went and began with the herbalist Brigitte Mars, who's written all these books on raw foods and natural everything. So here's our beautiful facial serum box. I love the presentation. It says, revive, replenish, rejuvenate. And it really seems to, again, that first morning, people are like, what? And I've gotten a lot of testimonials where they say, I woke up the first day and I could feel the difference, which is really nice. So Brigitte and I just got together because I've got a new product coming. And we started talking about our roller. Now, we don't sell these, but you can find them at crystal stores. But in combination for older skin, for scars, you put your Evo facial serum on, your C60 Evo Advanced facial serum, or I have my scars that I've been rolling, and they really are having incredible improvement. So little tricks like this, really good, really simple. You can find them online anywhere, crystal roller, but really good to add to this product. And I'm, you know, like I said, we don't sell it, but once I started using it, it was like, huh, great trick. So I think that it combined with really primo products that are natural, vegan, organic mostly, this one has 21 ingredients. That's what I get for having two different female formulators that are really passionate about great products. And the facial serum has chia seed oil, because when I saw Brigitte Mars, and she's in her late 60s, her skin was like butter, like I hadn't seen it ever. She looked younger than ever. And so she told me her trick, as she's being my formulator, to begin the product with the chia seed oil, which I don't think that's in any other products that I've heard of. And it really is noticeably wonderful right away. So we realized that if you're taking it inside, drinking, you know, on a spoon, a tablespoon or a teaspoon, and you're putting it on your face, triple. It's like it appears to be giving us more benefit if you're doing inside and out. So we do discounts for the sets called inside out set, where you get this product and this product, and you save money. And God, the cameras are reversed. It's so funny. So if you do more than one product, and we have tons of sets, because we want people to be able to afford it. It is expensive because it's one of the more difficult minerals, I guess it would be considered, to manufacture. I'm going to let Chris describe it. And we were asked a really interesting question, and I'm going to be very careful about the words we use, but they've been talking a lot about graphene oxide. And, you know, because our product, what is C60? Well, I'm going to let Chris describe that. And if people ask, is there any relation? Is this some, you know, negative thing? It's like, no, quite the contrary. But interesting discussion I would like Chris to talk about.
Yeah, so graphene is kind of, I mean, it's been around forever. It's just a single layer of graphite. But they've started working with it recently because it has a lot of, when you isolate individual layers of graphite, it has very unique properties. And it's a very exciting industry. It has little or nothing to do with this, because the difference, what the main difference between, say, a graphene and a buckyball or an ESS60 molecule that you might consume is that this is a closed cage. ESS60 is a closed cage molecules. There's no dangling carbons at the end of it. You can imagine a sheet of carbon is going to have a sheet of graphene is going to have carbons with carbon atoms available for bonding on the exterior edge, right? Well, if you fold that on itself, and you can only do that, you start to be able to do that at 60 carbon atoms. It's actually a smaller one, but that almost never occurs. You realize pretty quickly that you don't have any dangling carbons, and it's a very stable molecule. In fact, this is so stable that you can fire it at a plate of steel at 15,000 miles an hour, where a graphene would actually just shred apart, where most molecules will just shred apart. This ESS60 molecule will compress and bounce right back because it's got such resilience due to its six-fold symmetry. There's 6 planes through this soccer ball shaped molecule, whereby it's symmetrical, and that gives it a lot of resilience. So really nothing, I mean, other than carbon, pretty important piece, but other than that, it is not related to the buckyball. In fact, we think in terms of the different types of carbon that are available. Diamond, everybody's familiar with that. Graphite, which a single layer is graphene, and then a whole other gamut of molecules, the third form of carbon, called fullerenes. And you could start to talk about nanotubes being maybe a fourth version, because it has a lot of closed cage similarities to the ESS60 molecule, but it also has some dangling carbons that typically has dangling carbons on the end, which would be more similar to graphene. So really there's only 4 types, and they are distinctly different.
Yeah, we don't want people going into like fear things about bots in the C60, or that it's nano means it's something negative. You know, there's so many people confusing science with reality. And that's what's nice about working with the real researchers that have the lab that's been manufacturing C60 in all varieties for 30 years or more, and selling to research institutions around the world. So it's only been in the last 5-6 years that people are ingesting C60. And now people are ingesting so many levels of C60. But when it first began, there were different sellers popping up here and there, but they were pretty much all buying their raw product, the carbon 60, from Chris at the lab in Texas. And then the lab started thinking, well, God, look at the sales are going way up. Let's start, mixing it in oil here and doing a more pure product. So you buy it direct from the lab. They know what they're doing. When they're mixing it, they've got huge machines that are airtight, light resistant, and they know what they're doing. So all of a sudden, I've been trying all these other products, seeing them in garages and basements and warehouse and dusty. And all of a sudden I, figured I really believe in this product. So I contacted Chris and Rob, and we decided to work together. And it took about, 2 minutes on the phone, where Chris and I went, heck yeah. So we've been partners for 18 months, and the business is just going like this because I'm coming up with all the different ways to take it. I'm so passionate about it that it's not about changing flavors or making it bubbly or whatever. It's really about how else can we put it on our body. So not only do we have like the facial serum, but my mom, 92, said, I like the facial serum, but my God, what it did for my lips was amazing. So I called the guys and I said, do you think we can make a lip remedy? So now we've got 2 flavors of lip renewal, and it just makes your lips plump and moist, which is so nice. And the nice thing is, even though I'm working with guys in Texas, they're in charge of all the gift wrap and all the different things, or their team is, our team, everything that shows up is in the coolest, gift box. So they're like, everything is gift-like, in my opinion. Woo! It always feels like a present when I get my new stuff. It comes in like the sampler set. This is really fun. When you get this, it's all 3 flavors. They're wrapped, different colors. The dogs and the cats, everything is a different color tissue. And that's a shallow little thing, but it's a consistent thing. And if you write us or call us, you're going to hear back. I'm kind of a case within probably 10 minutes. Even some evenings at 8 o'clock, you might get I'll send it off to the office if it's a Friday, but I'll probably drop you a note and say, we're closed till Monday morning, but hey, we see you, Annette, or, like we really care to acknowledge because we're dealing person to person. We're not buying products here and there. And we're sourcing all of our organic oils very carefully. Chris and Rob are doing all that. So lucky me, I get to do all the promotions, set up all the shows, do all the social media. But the juicy, delicious part is I get to read all the comments, the letters, the testimonials. And it is so honoring to be making a product that I'm going to say 98% of everyone that writes us loves.
Yeah.
Very few complaints. And with the subscriptions, that's a sign that a product is good if people don't cancel. Well, of course, people cancel because a lot of people just want the 20% off. Sure, I'll try it. So the small bottle, this is 4 ounce, and I highly recommend if you want to just try it, get the organic olive oil, and the small bottle is $95. But with the 20% off, it's $75 on subscription. And that's a great way to start because then you can test it for 3 weeks to a month and see how you like it. Most people immediately order bigger. Now, we recommend the olive oil because it's the strongest concentration you're going to find, but some people don't like the taste of olive oil. I cannot believe how well they're selling. So now we're doing capsules. Chris and Rob called me and they said, what do you think? And so I was like, well, heck yeah. I mean, it's the same top of the line ESS60. And when you're comparing C60 in all the different companies, there's percentages, and then there's pure C60, ESS60. And it's like there's no gray. There's nothing in the middle. There's either pure ESS60 or different varieties of C60. Some of them are from WUH China, actually from there. And I don't want to, say anything too much. Some are from Russia, some are from Canada. Those are the only other labs I've heard of, but questionable. Sonication, sublimation, like, is that good? I think if it was good, Chris and Rob will be doing it at our lab. So why have you not done those two productions like those other countries might be offering that some of our competition might be selling? Is it better? Is it as good?
So you mentioned too sonication and sublimation, just to kind of give some background. Most of us would be familiar with sonication as it relates to like being at the jewelry store and you've got that little container of sand that you can put your ring in and it makes this really high-pitched vibration sound. And it's actually vibrating the sand to get your ring to polish it. That's the closest most people are going to get to sonication. The challenge with sonication, especially as it relates to oils like olive oil, MCT oil, avocado oil, is sonication is just lots of sound waves. And there are local teeny tiny spots. They're actually nano in the nano realm where all of the waves peak at the same point, at that same nano scale. And you actually end up with temperatures, local temperatures, nanoscale temperatures, the temperature of the sun. So just like you would not leave your olive oil out in the sun, you do not want to sonicate your oil because the oil will go rancid. It actually causes it to go rancid very fast. And then as rancid oil gets introduced, even at that nanoscale, that actually can ruin a batch really quickly. There's one thing that you can do to find out if a particular product has been sonicated. It usually has a metallic flavor. We've done experiments where we've actually taken one of the brands that we know sonicate, and if you put it on your hand, it'll work its way through your system and you will taste it. That's how kind of caustic it is. So you definitely don't want to be sonicated. The other one is sublimation, and that's a process for purification of C60. And the way the process works is you put a C60 as it is generally produced is a powder, or really you're talking about a mixture of C60 and C70. Typically, it's a black powder. You typically put that in a tube that is heated, and then you've got a vacuum running down the tube. and then the other end of the tube is cooled. So what happens is at one particular temperature, lower than C70 and some of the other higher fullerenes, the C60 sublimates, and it never goes to a liquid phase, it goes directly to a gaseous phase. And because the vacuum's pulling, it starts moving down the tube. Because the tube is colder, then it condenses back on the tube. The interesting thing about sublimation, we've done lots of work with sublimation, have provided to scientists in the past. You lose about 50% of your material. You can imagine not all of it is going to be right on the walls and is going to be condensing. A lot of it is going to be in that vapor trail that's getting sucked into the vacuum and sent out through your fume hood. So you typically lose about 50% of your material. So if it doesn't cost 50% more, right, or 100% more in the final product, it's probably not sublimated. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. And what we found by our own studies is that you can, the concern is in the process of purifying C60 away from C70, you use solvents. You want to get those solvents removed. The benefit of using sublimation and getting into nano reduction of solvents versus actually going through our proprietary process are just not worth the cost. Now, we do know that in our final product, the presence of those solvents is a 10,000 times lower than the FDA's recommendation, EPA's recommendation for drinking water. So you could have 10,000 times more solvents than we might have, worst case scenario, in our product in water, and the EPA would say that's safe drinking water. So we're about, we're scientists, so 100% is a really hard thing to get out of a scientist. So we're talking about a negligible amount of solvent in our final product. By the way, like there's some people in the market talking about industrial grade C60, whether it's sublimated or whatever, and going, any amount of solvent is horrible. Well, let's look back to the actual research. We provided the material in the original research. That material that we provided is manufactured according to the same process that we have now. Those rats live 90% longer than the control group, given our material processed the way we process it. So I really think anybody who's going, oh, there's solvents in there, even though they're negligible and almost at the point of, in fact, based on the sample, often our samples come back with undetectable amounts of solvents, so they're just all gone. Do you really have a problem with that if those rats live 90% longer? And the EPA says it's 10,000 times lower than the acceptable amount in drinking water? Yeah, sublimation is not worth it. It's too expensive.
So those are the two reasons, and our process then is the cleanest, and the product ends up being with the least solvents.
Yep. And you look for ESS60, which is something that we've kind of brought into the industry to help keep consumers safe. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you're putting this in your body. Do you want to be working with the company that provided the material in the original research and that continues to deliver an amazing product at the quality that we've been delivering to research institutions around the world for about 30 years? Well, that's us. That's C60 Evo.
Right. Well, for me, my approach to ESS60 is that it's a tool. It's a tool that helps me get my work done. and I'm here on the planet to get certain work done. I've spent enough time focusing my professional life in certain areas that I want to leave a legacy of books and institutions and knowledge in specific areas. And so I think that I found a tool that can let me complete my books, get them out there, complete my different institutions, function well enough to marshal enough people. Here on August 21st, 2021, we're doing a global press conference in response to the US government's release on June 25th of its reports on UAP, unidentified flying objects, in which they said that, oh, we've only identified 144, and we couldn't identify, there are only 18 of them that have anything special, and that's just abject disinformation. And so, as a person who's been in this field since 1973, now we're holding a press conference that's to be simultaneously in Paris in French, in Vancouver, British Columbia in English, and in Argentina in Spanish with leading world ufologists. And ESS60 is helping me. I'll be 80 years old next year, accomplish this. Wow. So that's, that is why I'm doing this. I'm not, trying to toot my horn. I'm just saying that this is what ESS60 helps me do. You see what I'm saying?
I brag about it that it kept me alive because, as you know, I was in the field of ufology for 12 years. I was in more than 100 UK crop circles and produced 8 documentary films that won a lot of awards. And what happened to ufology was very sad because it used to have great masters, 4-star generals, astronauts that were at our events. And all of a sudden they started dropping like flies. And what's left today for Space Force concerns me very much. Stephen, with my last name, Greer, put out the film Cosmic Hoax, which I unfortunately think that's what we're about to see. So no matter what hoax we're dealing with, we're going to have to really be careful with our brain fog, with our emotions, with our consciousness, with our cognitive balance. And what we're hearing from you and a lot of people with ADD, ADHD, now we're talking about a secret depression or a silent depression. This is a remedy that comes on a spoon. Now, I'm 5'2", and I'm little, but I take a tablespoon a day. Most people take a teaspoon, and it's plenty. I have sensitive friends that can only do a small bit of a teaspoon, which was you in the beginning. So when I got your email that said 2 tablespoons in the morning, I was like, he didn't mean to write that. No. And then you said, and another tablespoon at night. I was like, no, he means teaspoon. And 3, really? But then now that you're acknowledging 3 tablespoons, and Chris with his running friend that's a master runner, didn't have a great effect, but he needed 3. So 3 is the magic number. And he did 3 teaspoons, but all of a sudden he's like, secret advantage. So for a lot of sports people, what he said I thought was so appropriate. It wasn't about healing easier. It was about not hurting himself so that he needed healing. There's nothing, more clear than that what you're doing is kind of stretching your muscles, stretching your core by perhaps running oil in the car is like running oil through your lines. When I started C60 Evo, I didn't like olive oil, but I personally, on a spoon, no big deal. And when it's got that serious bite, because we have really good extra virgin olive oil, I'll just take a swig of water and it's gone. But the benefit that you get is amazing. And I had forgotten, other than in my coffee. So right before the show, as I'm grabbing all my products from the kitchen cabinet, because I like to have them here to show you, I was like, oh yeah, so I took my tablespoon. Even though it's 3:30, and my rule is usually noon. Don't take it after noon. But what a difference. I was so tired. I made some chai tea, and it was like, yeah, because I've been going since 5:30. And the Evo just perked me right back up. So I can't even imagine I'm going to have to come up with an evening project. Oh yeah, rewriting Amazon. So I think, with all that we have coming at us, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know anybody that's not in like finals. Like sometimes you feel like you're getting tested in life. This feels like finals for a lot of people, like really big test where people are really being affected. And so here I have this simple, easy thing. And they're like, how are you the only one that didn't get sick? And I'm like, yeah. this stuff is like secret weapon, in my opinion. And a lot of the ads that we're doing, I'm like, you show this fabulous person who's so powered up. And now the question is, what's her secret? Because I'm in my upper 60s, you're pushing 80, Chris is still 30 something, but
I wish.
but I think for all ages we're getting benefits that are beyond our expectations. And we can't say that medically. I can just say I read everybody's comments and it's good. And even the other companies that have been around for a while that are selling 1/10 of what is supposed to be in their bottle that we found in our lab tests, people are saying, oh my gosh, the benefits. And influencers are promoting it. They don't even realize they could be getting 10 times the benefit with a spoonful of ours instead. But we don't want to be rude about other products. We just wish that they would get their own testing machine, high performance liquid chromatography machine,
Yes.
HPLC machine, so that they could measure all their batches going out and not sell things short. I don't think it's intentional. I think they just don't know what they're doing. Yes, Alfred?
Yeah. I just wanted to point out that we've been going back and forth with Sin Shim in the chat, and she was at first had pointed out that my link, which is c60evo.com/Alfred LW, that the coupon code there wasn't working. That is where you would get 10% off, and that's all in caps EVALW. So does that work? That works, right?
As soon as we're
should.
done with the show, I will double check. But when I wrote my girl, she said, my web girl, she said, no, but I will double check.
Yeah. And then
make a note on the order that, you heard it on Alfred's show. We'll make sure that she gets the discount and you get your commission.
Yeah. Now, Shin just said, Shin said, yes, it does, but just to double check, so people are paying attention to these links, because not only do you get 10% off, and so that there was one comment saying, oh, this is so expensive, but if you, for example, get a subscription to ESS60, that'll bring the cost down to $75 a month, which is a lot cheaper than SSRI antidepressants. I'll tell you that.
And I just did double check, and then the code EVALW is working, just to confirm.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
Oh, great. So that works.
So maximum discounts. I'll give you guys all the leads. If you go to our website, c60evo.com, and on the menu bar, go to shop or store, and then go to sets. And the sets are where you can buy 2 or 3 or 5 pieces all together and save approximately 15%. So if you get a set and then you put it on a subscription, so you get 15%, then you get another 20% off that. And every month you get it at that price, which is really sweet because that's a lot less. So you're going to save a lot of money. And because you're listening to the show, if you go EVALW, which is Alfred's initials, you'll get another 10% off your very first order. So that brings it down substantially. And started, sorry. I think you probably won't quit. Yes, Alfred, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. And importantly, and we are a nonprofit television network. We're part of the World Good News Network that was actually started as part of my meeting with Barbara Marx Hubbard and Buckminster Fuller at the University of Cincinnati in the mid-1970s. So You're listening to the World Good News Network that was started with Bucky Fuller, Barbara Marx Hubbard, and myself, and you're listening to that now. And if you put in EVALW, we get 15% because these people are very generous. Chris and Patty and EVO are sharing. So they're paying forward So we get 15%, and that's part of the World Good News Network. And this is all about the fullerene named after Buckminster Fuller. So that's kind of a cosmic pay it forward. So that's how deep all this stuff goes. This is not like, a come lately thing. This is a deep thing that goes deep into Buckminster Fuller land.
And the evolution of C60, the EVO, which is our name, the evolution of C60 is to be making it in the purest, cleanest form, which is ESS60, which we have trademarked because we're the only ones making it in the world. And real proud to be a part of it, really delighted to be taking it. So now I'm not rubbing it on my face anymore because I've got the facial serum I can do that with and the lip balm. And now I'm experimenting with our new secret product, which is in a white bucket, not ready yet. And it looks a little almost gone. You can hardly see it. But, oh my God, what's coming up soon for C60 Evo? You will want to lick your arms. Oh my God, luscious lemon body butter coming soon to our website. It goes on so soft and it stays on forever, kind of like the lip remedy. And I do one arm and I look at the difference an hour later and that arm is still moist, which nothing has done for me. I've tried everything. And I don't like to be greasy, oily, but it's kind of like the facial serum. It stays moist, but it's not oily. And I put it on at night before bed and the essence is rosemary, which is so etheric. It's so good for your dreams. That's why Brigitte helped me pick the rosemary essence for the facial serum, is because when you put it on, you smell it. This one is lemon, and it's good. It's kind of lemon and orange. She did a citrus blend because we do everything vegan, natural, organic, as best we can. The only thing that isn't is the actual capsules, which are gelatin. So I do want to mention that's the only non-vegan item in our collection. We really are trying to keep it high quality and natural. And of course, with the ESS60, it's C60 you can trust.
Well, this is quite something, and I'm the person that really likes to encourage Chris and Patty and all the scientists at C60evo.com, ESS60, to move toward those trials on human subjects and the human experiments, and they have been doing so, and I think they preliminarily found some life extension properties. Is that correct? Or
well, in humans, no. So we're a long way from human trials where we'll be consuming it. We're already in, some preliminary trials for it as a sleep aid. So,
sleep aid. Okay.
Everything that we're doing is driven by our customers, right? So originally they came out with this result: the rats live 90% longer. Our customers started asking us, hey, how do we get this and how do we consume it? We weren't really comfortable with that. We actually tried to stay out of the supplement industry because it's a very different industry from our pedigree. We've been delivering commercial quantities of this molecule since 1991 to research institutions around the world. You can't tell them you're going to sell them something and then not sell them that something. That's not an option because they can test it and they know what they got. It's very different than anybody who read that initial study, said, hey, I'm going to buy some C60 really from my company. I'm going to mix it in some oil and I'm going to sell it to consumers who have no way to test their product. Our pedigree is totally different. And actually, when we were thinking and making the decision, are we going to get into the supplement industry? I found a research paper that is peer-reviewed, published research that showed that 50% of the products in the general supplement market, not in the C60 market, 50% of the products did not have in them what they said they had in them. This is not an industry that I had any identification with. I didn't want really to get into it. Finally, really was Patty was pushing the envelope, and our customers started calling us from 2 times a week to 10 times a day. And so we made that decision to get into the business as a supplement manufacturer. So we deliver high quality. Now, we are the only, and it's ESS60 if it's safe for human consumption, but let's lump all of these industrial C60 salespeople into it. We are the only C60 company that's actually funding research. We just finished the first trial of some research that's getting us to recreate the original rat study. And we're pushing people through a sleep study. And the reason we're doing a sleep study, it's not like, we didn't invent this and decide that it was going to help sleep. Our customers, our most consistent customer testimonial is people take it in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. So that pushed us to say, hey, I've got an Aura ring that's on my finger right here. It's one of the better sleep trackers on the market. Let's see if we can do a study. So we've got 10 people. I think we're at 21 people who have gone through that study now. We're compiling the data, and maybe we can share it with you on the next episode. But we're literally the only supplement company I'm aware of who's putting our money where our mouth is. We're trying to support, we are funding research that supports what our customers are saying they're experiencing about the product.
I have a surprise to tell you. Chris has a lab and a master scientist and a team down there. I have Shelly. And Shelly and I only work on Tuesdays for an hour, but we nail all of the gorgeous posts and posters and ads and everything together. And so Shelly and I were talking recently, and I'm bragging because when I sleep, which is only at night, I'm finding last night, I'm bragging 9.5 hours, like somebody hit me over the head. Night before 10.5. Sometimes I wake up at 3 and drink my go back to sleep tea, but boom, I'm back out. And it's a quality that I haven't slept in so long. And she said, well, actually, I've been tracking my sleep. I've got this ring. And I went, wait. Shelly, the only person I work with, you have the Aura ring? And she said, oh, yeah, you too. And I said, no, Chris does. So Shelly is also tracking her sleep, and she's been taking C60 Evo. So you might want to add her to your
study.
Yeah, because I'm sure she's tracking it. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, no, it's a small world. We keep getting these small world stories, and it's pretty phenomenal.
Well, it's because we're really caring about what we're talking about, and if we want to know we're really on top of telling the truth, it's really present. The best way to do it is to talk about what's going on right now. We did a show with somebody the last couple of days that said, what I love about you guys is that I'm buying a product from the people who are actually making it. Like I can see you, I can look at you, and you're not a druggie, and you're not slow or stony, or your skin is beautiful. You look really present. And that's what people want to see. If they want to buy a product, they want to see that the people that are selling it, or, their upper staff, looks good, looks healthy, is present, has a good attitude. No matter what I know in the world, I really choose to have a good attitude. And luckily with this, taking this every day, I feel like I'm in control of my brain. And I don't think I was for a few years. I know I wasn't, because I went through some really big tests. So this is an evolution for me, the evolution of C60, ESS60. And I encourage all of you to go to our website, c60evoevolution.com, and just go through the store, see what's available, go through the about or the benefits page, because we do explain it pretty well. It's something that's not really been out for a long time. Doctors don't know about it, most of them, but once they do, they start selling it in their office. So this week has been a massive number of cases. I don't know if you've seen, but we have sold a lot of cases, 12 bottles. So you can get 25% off if you buy a case. And we sold a lot of them this week. Alfred, yeah.
Yeah, Chris, I have a question from you. Clint Richardson is a very sort of skeptical scientific type. He's in the chat, and he's saying, how is ESS60 molecularly different from C60, or is it simply C60? So could you explain for Clint Richardson,
yeah,
what is it about ESS60 that differentiates it from C60 that makes it safe for human consumption? And what is the evolutionary part of ESS60?
Absolutely. And I'm going to start actually, because a lot of your audience may not know this, that C60 is a naturally occurring molecule, right? So you can take a candle flame and collect the soot from a candle flame. You usually do that with a cold steel plate, and you get that black soot. That black soot has parts per million, parts per billion of the C60 molecule in it. Obviously not enough to be beneficial, but it is a naturally occurring molecule. There is also only one form of the C60 molecule, right? So it's 60 carbon atoms. It's in a shape of a soccer ball. That's all there is. So whether you're manufacturing it in a reactor with local temperatures of the sun, by the way, that's how we do it. It's part of the reason it's so expensive. If you're getting it from the soot from a candle flame, if you were collecting it from the KT boundary, the Cretaceous period when the asteroid hit and killed all the dinosaurs, that layer, because of all the fires at that time, has an elevated amount of fullerenes in it, C60 being the most abundant fullerene. So yes, it's a naturally occurring, and it doesn't matter how you make it, it is the same molecule. We started looking at all the C60 manufacturers in the industry, and we actually sampled 22 of the products that were on the market. And we realized, I mean, the phrase that I use is that they were woefully low in concentration. Some of them as low as 1/10, and it was disconcerting in the industry, really, that we created, were mentioned in the original research. And so we started brainstorming on how can we keep these customers safe and with the high quality product. And so ESS60 is really the trademark that's associated with that process of taking C60 after it's been isolated from the other fullerenes and making sure that the solvents are removed and making sure that it's safe for human consumption. So that is the evolution of C60. ESS60 is C60 that's been processed for safe for human consumption. And I'm going to say this one other way. There is peer-reviewed published research that shows when you improperly process C60, it is harmful. ESS60 is C60 that's been processed for safer human consumption. So I hope that answers Clint's question.
Thank you very much.
If somebody came to you with a lot of money and said, I want to buy some industrial grade C60 and just save some money and make some oil, what do you do if they're offering you $100,000 for lower quality? Are you going to do it?
So, well, let me tell you a story. And this is a good story kind of all around. We once had somebody reach out to me directly and was like, hey, I'm taking this product and I'm thinking about it taking this other product. Should I take it? Both of them were not our product, right? And I said, well, first off, that first product you were taking, we used to sell them C60. And when we realized that they were taking the C60 we were selling them and sticking it in oil and selling to people, we actually called them and said, hey, you're purchasing industrial grade C60 that has not been processed for safer human consumption. You need to purchase the ESS60 equivalent at that time. They refused, and they're still selling a product that's on the market. They just didn't want to pay the price necessary to get a high quality product. So I shared that story. And then I also said, when I was kind of saying, well, they were like, hey, should I switch over to this other product? I'm just like, look, if you trust us enough to ask us the question about these brands and you're going to put this in your body, then you should probably just buy from us.
Right. You know, we've been here now for that magical number of 60 minutes, and I'm wondering, is there anything that you had wanted to say that you have not had a chance to say as yet?
I think I'm going to triple my dose for a few days and see what happens.
Oh, cool! Yeah. Tell me, and then, because you take one tablespoon per day.
Yeah.
You see, you were my basic model. I knew that Patty took a tablespoon, and I said, tablespoon, and so then do it.
Wow.
Try it.
Well, you know, everybody can only judge for themselves, and again, you know, most people have a whole shelf full of supplements. Most of them don't work. A lot of them were 5 stars on Amazon, and they don't work. So when you've got testimonials, real people saying real things, and you look at the people making it and taking it, and that's something you want to emulate, well, that's where I'm going with it. So again, C60evo.com, and use Alfred's code, which is EV for Evo, EV, and his initials ALW, to save a little bit more on your first order. Thank you, Alfred. Thank you, Chris.
Well, yeah. And there's just one more question from How long is the C60 Evo good once opened?
That's a great question. So olive oil, the one that we recommend, typically has a shelf life of 3 years. There's some evidence that in the presence of that ESS60 molecule, that it extends that beyond the 3 years. However, we typically put a best buy date of about a year or no longer than 2 years, depending on the size of the bottle, just to be sure. And really, if you're going to be taking a regular serving of it, it's not going to last a year anyway. And then also, somebody named Activated Oxygen said, sounds like a scary sci-fi movie with enormous egos. All I will say is, hey, there's peer-reviewed published research. I would encourage you to go out there and find that research and read it, and then call my office, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you.
The other thing about it lasting to the maximum is you got to keep it out of direct light and away from direct heat. So put it in a cabinet where you put your olive oil. You don't leave it next to a window unless you want it to go rancid, or you don't put it next to the stove unless you aren't thinking about it. But it's best to have it in a cabinet where you close the doors, away from light and heat, and then you're probably going to get your 3 years, but it won't last that long. So we wish everybody great health. And anything else, guys?
I just, for activated oxygen, I put in this customer testimonial that says, my mom has been taking C60 Evo for over a month. She has degenerative arthritis of the spine, nerve damage, muscle atrophy, low energy associated with mitochondrial damage. She says she thinks C60 Evo is working because she is not in as much pain. This is quite interesting. I ordered a case for myself today.
Well, and again, I do want to add, and I think it's important, testimonials are the foundation. People are like, oh, it's anecdotal, you should ignore it. Well, anecdotes are the foundation of science. The reason we're doing a sleep study is because our customers were telling us they're getting better sleep. That's the foundation. So we have a hypothesis that the C60 Evo formula helps with your sleep. So now we're doing a study. In this case, it is anecdotal. It talks about very specific diseases. I just do want to reiterate, the FDA has not evaluated the product. It is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease.
Well, I want to thank you, Chris Burris of C60evo.com, Patty Greer of C60evo.com. Thank you all for your dedicated work for getting this product out. I know that without it, I could not do my work. And thank you so much for participating in this. Please stay with us so we can schedule our next, because we would love to have you back again. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Alfred. Bye.
Good enough.